What's going on YouTube? Got a 2015 Nissan Sentra in the shop today. I'm getting a CVT service, and also shifter will not come out of park. If you're stranded on the side of the road, can't get this thing out of park, I will show you how to do it, and that's exactly what the customer did. Hop in here real quick. Excuse me. But he's got a pen ink shoved down inside of it so that he can get it out of park. But that will get you by. There is a little tab right there you got to pry up, and then you don't have to use an ink pen cartridge. In fact, I recommend against this in case it does explode. Paper clip or anything small that you can get down in there, a little pocket screwdriver, anything will get this thing out of park. Fairly common issue on these. Two main causes for this: brake switch down on the brake pedal. And also there's a shift interlock solenoid right there that is also notorious for going bad. Now, what we're doing here is we're trying to diagnose exactly which one it is. Believe it or not, this is the better way to do this because a lot of the times it doesn't end up being the brake switch. It ends up being it ends up being that solenoid. So what we need to do now is start performing voltage tests, figure out what's going on. In order to get down to this point, I'll show you that here real quick because this can be a little bit annoying. Especially with the amount of stuff that needs to be removed in order to get down to just this point. We have not pulled the entire center console. Typically, you don't need to, so long as you've got a little bit smaller hands. If you've got massive mechanics hands and you can't get into here, you will need to pull the entire center console out. But in order to get to this point, the very first thing that comes off is this upper panel up here. You want to use some sort of a plastic pry tool. I like to get up here right between the vent bezel and the radio bezel and just lightly pry it up on both sides. And then once you get one or two corners up, then you start wiggling it and then come down here and pry up. You've got another clip here and another clip here, and then that whole panel pops out. Well, once it comes loose, it's got a couple of little lock arms that go in here. You literally just need to drop it down, wiggle it up, down, and it'll come right out. And then you've got two screws, one here that need to be pulled out. Those are both T30 screws, or sorry, T20 screws that will then, those go up here on the center shifter. Then for that center shifter, you just put your finger underneath of it and pop up this end, pop up here, and then the whole thing will pull out. There's one electrical connector right there for the cigarette lighter or charging port, whatever you'd like to call it. And then this center piece here where the cup holders are, you literally just grab between the cup holders and pull straight up, open up the center console compartment, and it'll pop right up and come right up over this e-brake without any issues at all. And then you have a number of screws: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 screws that need to be removed in order to get the upper part of the shifter away so that we can get down to this point and gain access. Now, we're going to go ahead and try this, test it out. We've got our voltmeter here with the ground headed all the way up to the battery, which is always the only place that you can ever trust a good ground. Don't try to use any of these in here because none of this is actually grounded. The emergency brake bracket is somewhat of a ground, but not a great one. I've got my flashlight stuffed in there so we can see down to that electrical connector. But how you're going to unplug it without removing the shifter assembly is you're going to, once you've pulled out this, your hand can actually go up underneath here and then reach up to that connector there, if my phone would ever focus. And then all we're going to do is just use one of these little back probe. Let me pull this out so you guys can see it, and I was in the wrong pin too. Little back probe, little alligator clip goes on so we can read our voltage. So we're just going to drop that bad boy down in there. We're going to reach up back from the underside again. We're going to get onto this connector, and I just looked up the wiring diagram for this. And we want to be from this connector coming from the body on the top set of pins. If this camera would ever focus, we want to be 1, 2, 3 pins in on the top side, and the release connector is on this side on the top side. So we're going to take our little electrical back probe, and we always want to back probe. You never, ever, ever front probe on any connector, ever. We are literally just going to get it into number 3, which I think I'm still off by 1, and I can't really see it. I'm trying to look through the camera as I do it, so hang on here a second, I'll get it plugged in. Okay, there we are. We are now back probed into the 3rd pin from the right. So counting from the right, 1, 2, 3 pins over, we are back probed in. we now have our voltmeter hooked up, and with key on, I'm going to check. We have nothing. We're going to step on the brake pedal. Look at that, full battery voltage. And just like that, we have condemned the shifter in less than 5 minutes. Well, plus removal time. Step on the brake, 12 volts. Release. Step on the brake, 12 volts. So the brake switch is working just fine. We're getting power all the way from the battery through the ignition key down to through about 3 different connectors all the way down to the solenoid. We are getting 12 volts and it is not coming out of park. The shifter is not releasing. We are locked up. And you can see down in here, I will show you, this is the release. So when you stick that pin in there, what it's doing is it's pushing down on that, which moves. Sorry for the jutters, but right there you can see this little black tab. That is the shifter trying to come down, running into that. So once you have activated it with the solenoid, let's see if I can get you an image of that, what that solenoid looks like. I can't really see the end part, but it's right there. This is the rounded portion where that solenoid connects, and all that solenoid does is just pulls that little plastic piece out of the way so that the shifter can be depressed. So this one is going to require a shifter assembly. If any of you guys would love to make a lot, and I mean a lot of money, pull out one of those solenoids, figure out what the part number is on it, see if you can source those from somewhere, order a buttload of them, throw them on eBay, you know, 50 bucks, 80 bucks, you know, whatever you want to charge for them. Because I was just into the dealership, they want the entire shifter is the only way to get that solenoid. Look at about $489 before tax. So you're looking an easy $500 just to get this thing to shift out of park. So the obvious solution is to simply jam something in there to hold it down, or even better is to set something, a key or a pocket screwdriver, whatever, set it up in the center console somewhere and leave it there. And that way you have the safety feature of having the shift interlock, but also have the usability to get it out of park. Right there, step on the brake, shift it out of park, and away you go. So, absolutely ridiculous that we have to pay $500 to get a new solenoid, but is what it is. And again, if one of you guys wants to make money, find out what that part number is, get on eBay, get a bunch of them, order them, set them up, and then sell them on eBay. List them for a 2015 Sentra, 2013, 2014. This is a super, super common problem across all of the Nissans. I've replaced a ton of these shifter assemblies, especially these console mounted, and nearly every time it ends up being that solenoid itself. Now, something to be aware of is that if you do replace this, you have good battery voltage like we do when we step on the brake pedal. There it is, good battery voltage. And your new shifter isn't working, there's one other thing that it could be, and it's that connector itself. So, hope this helps somebody out somewhere. Have a great one, you guys.